Hi, everyone. Good to see you again. I'm Anne-Marie Green.
And I'm Vladimir Dutier. So we are monitoring some breaking news right here in New York City, where a subway station has now been cleared after reports of a suspicious package or suspicious packages. The New York Police Department says Fulton Street station had been evacuated because of 2 pressure cookers that were found. The bomb squad, though, has since cleared the devices, and they've searched the nearby stations. The NYPD has confirmed that they are not explosive devices.
So Fulton Station is actually located in Lower Manhattan. It's really just a few blocks from the World Trade Center. Many subway lines are delayed as a result of the NYPD investigation, and there are reports of no injuries. So that's sort of the good news. But, you know, this is Manhattan, right?
Why would you leave a pressure
if you see something, you say something. So, and well, that's the question, right? Why leave a couple of pressure cookers around? As you can see, something like that creates a lot of chaos in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But we had brought it up, you know, in our 7 o'clock hour. We just wanted to make sure that the audience sort of knew what was happening. So at this point, certainly a lot of confusion,
right,
a lot of questions to be answered, but it doesn't look like anyone's in danger.
So it's interesting, too, because you would think that people in this day and age would kind of realize that these are the kinds of devices that have been used in the past.
Precisely.
Yeah, and so it is just sort of curious.
That's the best word to use.
Right.
So listen, let's bring in Jarrod Bernstein. He's a former counterterrorism official for the Obama administration and a former New York City emergency management spokesperson. So Jarrod, you know, Vlad just brought up that people have used pressure cookers before. I think it was 2018 or 2016. I'm not sure exactly. You'll probably remember better than me. But you know, 2016 there was a case here in Manhattan where people turned pressure cookers into bombs and dropped them off in a couple of locations in Chelsea, I believe, right?
Right.
So the good news here is it looks like we're just looking at pressure cookers, just the things you use to cook food. It's not an explosive device. So, you know, how will police pursue this then? Is an investigation going to continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and thanks very much for having me on. I think, listen, the important thing to note here is that the system worked, right? Something that was out of place on a New York City subway was noted, the police were notified, and that, you know, they responded appropriately. They did an investigation. Obviously, it messed up a lot of people's commute, but unfortunately, that's the price of living in the post-9/11 era. That is the price of vigilance. But police need to assess whether this was a hoax, whether it was just somebody who was actually delivering a couple of pressure cookers and may have lost one or two. And, you know, they have to assess that or see if it was somebody who was trying to probe police response and test how we would respond to suspicious packages, which, you know, the bad guys have been known to do from time to time. So they really got to run this investigation through to the tape and make sure that they're fully aware of every possible eventuality, identify any suspects, and then adjust procedure accordingly.
You know, you said something that was sort of interesting there. Jarrod, could someone have potentially left them there to see what the response time from terrorism police officers is, to see what the reaction of people, how quickly people notice something and say something? Is that a tactic that you've seen in the past?
I mean, 100%. You know, the enemy, the adversary in this long struggle is always trying to figure out what we're up to, and conversely, we're always trying to figure out what the adversary is up to. So it's very important for the police department to continue to evolve their tactics and not respond to the same event or the same type of event the same way you know, twice. And I think that is, you know, an important thing for the police department to note, the federal officials to note, that we have to continue to be aware who's watching the response, you know, who's securing that perimeter, making note of any suspicious people who are watching the police response and potentially questioning them about this. And that's something that, unfortunately, in this day and age, we need to be aware of.
So we just want to bring people up to speed. As we understand it now, another pressure cooker was found at a different location. The first two, I believe, found at the Fulton Street subway station, and then another one found at West 17th and 7th.
Yeah, and so that makes this a pattern of some type. And, you know, it seems at this point, at least, none of the pressure cookers are actual real devices, but that doesn't mean that they aren't, the adversary isn't trying to probe us and see what's going on or make some kind of a political statement about pressure cookers.
Jarrod, let me just make a, you never know, correction. It's West 16th and 7th. Somebody saw one of these devices and they called in the police. And so, we're talking about rush hour. A whole lot of people were probably thrown off of their schedule. And I think, part of the reason why maybe you might see something suspicious and you don't come forward is because you just don't want to ruin someone's day, So I want you to speak to this. If you see something, when should you alert authorities?
If you think you should, if you see something that is out of place and just doesn't make sense, that's when you should alert authorities. And unfortunately, the new reality we're going to have to live with is that there are going to be delays sometimes, but the delays are just pale in comparison to the potential for real problems and real mass carnage on a big scale if people aren't paying attention. So I think that's just something we're going to have to live with, and everybody's going to have to get okay with the fact that we're going to have delays sometimes, unfortunately, in the post 9/11 era.
Yeah, and Jarrod, we pointed out that in 2016, somebody actually left 2 pressure cooker bombs in front of buildings in Chelsea, and then in 2017, somebody left a homemade pipe bomb in a passageway between subway stations. The thing about public transportation is these are soft targets. These are places that are built to be open to the public, and so they're vulnerable.
Yeah, they are, and unfortunately, in a free society, that's one of the risks that we're going to have to continue to live with. But we're going to, everybody is in the counterterrorism business in the post 9/11 world, and so every citizen, every person, every shopkeeper or subway conductor is going to need to be vigilant and continue to be vigilant and report these things as they see them.
So what should folks, Jarrod, do if they see something and say something? I mean, what are some tips you can give to our viewers on how to stay alert?
So I think that, notice, most people are creatures of habit. They ride the same commute every day. They even maybe see the same people on the same commute every day. If you notice something that doesn't seem quite right, somebody wearing a overly large jacket in the middle of August, somebody carrying a box with wires protruding from it, somebody carrying something that just doesn't look right, call 911, alert a train crew, alert a uniformed member of law enforcement, a security guard, a building manager, and call 911 right away.
All right, Jarrod, really good advice. We appreciate you joining us. Jarrod Bernstein, thank you.